employee maintenance optional screens. So we're going to go into the employee maintenance screen and review all the screens that are optional for employees, not required when the employee is set up. So we went into payroll. We're going to go into employee maintenance. Then we're going to go into employees. So in this case, I'm going to find the employee, and I'll go through the screen. So there's, hit the edit button. We're now going to go through all these next screens that, again, are not required, but just talk about them a little bit. So we'll go into the deduction screen. So to add a deduction for an employee, on the left-hand margin, we're going to click the Add button. All the deductions for that payroll client are then displayed. So in this case, we'll say that we're going to go ahead and set up union dues for this employee. So I can double-click on the deduction. It automatically grabs in the deduction parameters, which in this case is FA for fixed or flat amount. It automatically loads the taken with a 1, which is the on-off switch. So that 1 means the deduction is on. I can then tab over. I could key in a start and a stop date, which will then use the payroll calendar to turn the deduction on and off. Next up is the amount. So I key in the amount of the union dues. So $1.50 a pay. I could also load arrears if they owed back weeks. So if I loaded a 2 in there with the very next pay, it would take the $1.50 for the current week and then take $3 for the previous 2 weeks arrears. Tabbing over, in this case, I'm leaving percent blank, but a deduction needs to either have an amount or a percentage in order to take out. Next up is the deduction balance field, which defaults to $9,999, which is a perpetual deduction, which means it will take every single week and never turn off. You can also do some grouping with your deductions if it was insurance, for example. You can also load in GL accounts here if you wanted to reference back an account, or you can reference from the insurance company the account numbers there as well. You can also override for this individual employee when you want to take this deduction. Should it be the first deduction taken or the last deduction taken? I'm going to press enter. If it likes everything, I get the confirmation prompt. I can click OK. And now it brings me in as if I wanted to add another deduction. So this time I'm going to go ahead and grab this garnishment deduction to show you another sample. If I hit select, again, you'll notice that it loads the FA, and we're going to leave that in place. It leaves the deduction on with the take at 1. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and key in the amount of the garnishment. But the big change is I'm going to come over and change the balance here, since we don't want to continually take this. Let's just say this garnishment order was for $550. So what the system will do is the system will take the $25 per pay. It will reduce the deduction balance by that $25 all the way until it reaches 0. Once the deduction reaches 0, it will then default to 0 here and turn the deduction off automatically. So once you've set these deductions, you can kind of set them and forget them, and the system will automatically turn them off once the balance reaches 0. I'm going to press enter, click OK. I'll show you one more type of deduction. This time I'm going to come down and I'm going to grab 401k. Again, this parameter this time is TS for tax sheltered. And again, it automatically sets the take as 1 to turn the deduction on. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and put a percentage as opposed to the amount. So this individual employee is going to have 401k 5%. I tab over to the deduction balance. The 401k limit is set at $17,000 for 2013. I'm going to key that balance in and press enter. If it likes everything, I get the confirmation prompt, and I can click OK. So there's 3 different types of deductions adding into the system. If you have a deduction that's not on the list, it can be added in the deduction control, and then it will show up on the list when you go to click on the drop down. Go ahead and hit exit. So there's all my deductions. If I had made a mistake on one, I can then highlight it and click the edit button, and then I can make any change, and then go ahead and click OK once I'm done changing that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back. Next up, we're going to go into the multipliers screen. This is not very common of a screen to be used at the employee level. What defaults here is all the multipliers at the payroll client level. So you can see here regular is straight time, and if you look down to overtime, you see that's time and a half. If for some reason you needed to change that at an individual employee level, such as the case with a union, and maybe this person was grandfathered in under an older union contract, and maybe for Sunday, for example, they get, instead of straight time on Sunday, maybe they get time and a quarter. So you can go ahead and put in the 1 1/4 time, and we can say that that is in addition to the time. So that's a way to add the overrides. Again, those are not very popular. You have 33 different earnings codes, so you can key in those differentials for any of the 33. And again, we're dealing with just this employee, so this employee only for Sunday 1 will get that additional $1.25. If I go ahead and go back here, the next screen up is the leave accruals. If I highlight and hit select, our system tracks 3 different types of leave accruals. It takes annual or vacation or PTO. Using the page down, we also track personal. Page down again, we can also track sick. So going back to the annual accrual, we have multiple ways to track this. We can track this by pay week. So if you get so many percentage of hours in a given pay week. So for example, if this employee got 0.75 hours in a given week, we could do it that way. We could also track it by hours worked. So if you wanted to track just the regular and overtime and they got a lesser percentage or a greater percentage, you could do that as well. We can also put in the limit for a given year. So if this person was entitled to 80 hours vacation, the system will not let that accrual go over 80 hours for the given calendar year. So that's a couple different methods. You can also use the current balance field, where if you didn't have a limit and just each year you went in and keyed in the amount of vacation entitled to someone, you could go in here and key in the 80 hours, and the system will reduce that balance with each hour the person takes. So you can always go into this screen to see exactly how many hours that person has remaining. You can also run through the Empower Report Writer balance report, so you have listing of what all your employees have in vacation balances coming forward. These areas down here keep track of how much vacation hours are taken on a quarterly and annual basis, and then also on your fiscal year basis as well. Down here will also keep track of quarter date and year date used as well. So that's the accrual. All 3 of those types, whether it be annual, personal, or sick, all operate the exact same way. I'm going to go back. I'm then going to go into the direct deposit information. The FMS system, we can track up to 3 different banks. What we would do if someone came in and wanted direct deposit, you would key in their ABA number, which is usually a 9-digit number. Then under the account type, it's either a C for checking or S for savings. The bank flag, when you set someone up originally, you always set the bank flag up as S for send notification. You can go ahead and press the F4 in these fields, and it will tell you the choices. So if we look here, in this example, I'm using S for send notification, which means when the payroll is processed, a pre-note file will be created and sent to the bank to ensure that the ABA and account numbers are correct. If it is a weekly client, the system will then automatically roll to a W for wait 1 week. So the employee will then get a live check the next week. And then if we haven't heard back from the bank and everything's okay, with the next payroll process, the system will automatically roll this flag to an R for ready, and that employee will have direct deposit. If you're a biweekly client, it will not do the wait 1 week. It will automatically roll to ready after the first process. This is the field where you'd physically put the bank account number, and then you'll put the amount of money that you want to deposit into the bank. So in this example here, we're going to say that this individual employee wants $25 into this bank account, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to add another bank account as well. So this time we're going to go ahead and say that this is a savings account. And again, we're going to put the S for pre-note, and then we put the savings account number in. And in this case, we want the entire remaining net. So to do the remaining net, we're going to key in 6 nines, a decimal point, and 99. And what that tells the system is to automatically take the remaining net and deposit it into the bank account. The sequencing of these banks doesn't really matter, as long as you make sure that the one that's going to do the remaining net is the very last bank. So if I moved this bank 2 down to bank 3 and left blank 2 blank, that second bank blank, then it would still work and it would take the $25 and then the remaining with the second bank. If I put the $25 after the 999, that would not work because the first bank would grab the whole net and it would not leave any money left for the $25. I got to press enter. If it likes everything I've done here, I can go ahead and click OK. And now we're going to go into the user-defined fields. User-defined fields can be used for whatever you want to track. These fields can be accessed through the Empower Report Writer. What some clients use these for, these are good for emergency contact numbers. So for example, if you wanted to put the person's cell phone number here, we could do that as well. Or if you wanted to have an emergency contact number, you could type in something like MER and then put in the number that is the contact. And then in this field, some people go ahead and put in the relationship for that contact. You can also use these fields here as well. And again, all this information can be accessed through the Empower Report Writer. I'm going to hit back, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit exit. And those are all the optional fields in the employee maintenance screens.